everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation Country Craft Creations, and I have a walkthrough for you on the junk journal / October daily that I'm doing using the gorgeous collection Midnight Manor from Country Craft Creations. If you have not seen this paper, you need to check it out. It is absolutely a stunning package, and the colors are gorgeous and the images are super beautiful. You can go spooky with this. You can go cute with this. It is an absolutely adorable collection, so you really need to go check this out. I'm using a 12 by 12 paper collection, and what I had done was I decided to create a junk journal / October daily. So for those of you like me who are Halloween fanatics, this is something that I do every once in a while, and I think this year I'm going to do it. So you can use this as a journal, you can use this as a party planner, a memory book, whatever you want to do. It just depends on how you fill it. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do a disc bound type of mechanism to put your stuff in. So you can make this into anything you want, but it's going to be really fun. So I'm going to talk about the cover here. So this is a Midnight Manor. On the cover, I did triple layer because I just thought it was a stunning collection, and I really wanted to use the whole image on the front and the back. So I took the pattern paper, cut it at 6 wide, and then this is 6 wide. So I was able to use, the same cut of paper from it. But I loved the pop of color in here. And so that's the other reason why I did all of the matting. So I did use Silver Mirror, Antique Winter Gray, and Burgundy from Country Craft Creations. The base of the book is Black Artisan Cardstock. So that's all from Country Craft Creations. I mean, look how gorgeous this is. It's absolutely stunning. I kept it kind of simple on the front, and I did get these black flowers from Country Craft Creations, and I literally cut them in half and made 2 pieces out of the same one. So they were a little more on the flat side because I'm using it more as a October daily kind of journal. I want to be able to write stuff in it. And I wanted the cover to kind of stay sort of flat, but I also wanted to kind of keep the imagery here. So I didn't do a whole lot of decoration on here. But I mean, I just think it turned out beautiful. I used this banner Midnight Hour, backed it on some more of the burgundy, fussy cut out the butterflies and that little ghost back there. Can you see my little ghost? And then the flowers and the leaves, and I just kind of did this little thing, and I just think it's turned out really pretty, and it's really simple, but it's stunning at the same time. Did a seam binding closure on here, and when you open it up, in the tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create all these pockets, as far as the pockets for the front, and then the pockets for, let me get to the back. The back here, they're a little bit different. As you can see, they're different size, but that's because I put the binding mechanism on the back cover of this journal. So I used 5 discs. These are by Happy Planner. I am a Happy Planner freak, so I have a bunch of those in my stash. But you can get these at any office store. But real quick, this is what I did. So I did use some graphic 45 that I had left over from Country Craft Creations, and I added pattern paper to it. I used old ledger paper. I used paper bags. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit more detail in the end of the tutorial, but I just wanted to give a quick flip through. So what I added to it, and then in the tutorial I will show you how to make 3 different pockets. So this is pocket number 1. It has a pocket here, it has a pocket here, so lots of room for stuff, and then a pocket back here. I did fill the pockets with tags from the paper collection. And again, I think I used 3 total of these tags. Just great places for putting pictures. Envelope for my stash that I added to put things in. Paper bag here that I really liked and I thought matched everything. And then I have a little file folder thing from my stash that I added in there. Let's see what else. Here comes pocket number 2 with a pocket there, and then a pocket on the back. So I'll show you how to make that. and more flip through. So there's lots of journaling space. This was a die from my stash that I used to make a slot pocket page, and then on the back you could put a nice picture. More journaling pages, paper bag that I created a little page pocket out of. And then this one here in the tutorial, I'll show you how to make this one. So it has a pocket here, oops, and a pocket here. I used ledger paper from my stash and gray parchment paper from my stash, you know, that I have for my like junk journaling and things like that. There's an envelope here and another big tag. I made some tags out of the leftover papers that I used, and then I fussy cut this out and left it open. The mummy cloth came from Country Craft Creations in my design team package, but this is like, it's really, I still can put more stuff in it, and I like the way that it turned out. So I'm excited to show you this tutorial. Now I did do a couple of practice pieces. I've been kind of busy on this design because I really wanted to check it out and make sure it was good. So I want to show you those super quick. This paper here I did get from Country Craft Creations. So this was kind of my first idea, and I decided to change it up a little bit because I wasn't too, it's more of a traveler's notebook size, so the pages are very narrow. They're only 4 1/4 inch. But this turned out really good. I did put the spine or the mechanism on the spine for this one. Did a little bit different pocket here, but that didn't turn out so awful good, so that's why I changed up the pockets on the sides here, because it was catching on my pages. So I ended up having to be creative and make a little booklet and then put the booklet in the pocket with it sticking out so that the pages could kind of slide across it. On this one I didn't add pockets, but I did do big tags that I had in my stash, and I covered them with pattern paper and then added these paper clips that I had purchased separately. But then I just added white journaling pages and some extra pieces of paper, added stickers to the pages, that kind of thing. So this is how this one turned out. I am super happy with it. I mean, I do like it. I wasn't happy with the back pocket. And the size, I mean, it's like a traveler's notebook. So it's the same kind of paper page size as that. But I do think it turned out really cute. So now I have a fall journal that I can play with here. And it's just, I just added dot grid paper and I cut them down and put them in here, you know, to have my journaling and whatnot. So there's that. Now I did get all these pages from Country Craft, or papers from Country Craft Creations. This was an 8x8 paper pack that I adapted for this design. And so that was my first try, and then I decided to make a bigger one. These were papers from my stash, so not really a whole lot from Country Craft Creations. Did pockets a little bit different, but I still thought that I would do the pockets differently. I added a slot pocket with a die that I have and just added a whole bunch of stuff in here. So I have kind of 2 journals. I did this kind of pocket, but I wasn't too crazy about that, the way it turned out either. So I ended up kind of almost cutting it in half and making 2 pockets out of that. But it's full and beautiful and I love it. Added ledger paper, some parchment, some dot grid, some grocery sack paper, envelopes, you know. So I kind of did do somewhat of the same thing with this one. I do recreate this pocket for you, so you will see how to do that. But anyway, that these were kind of my practice pieces that I did. On this one, I did not put a pocket on the back page because I really like this image and I wanted to keep it. But on the one in the tutorial, I am going to add a pocket behind there. But I did do this one the same with the binding on the back spine. I made the covers bigger, and this one will accommodate 5.5 by 8.5 papers. This one will not. You had to cut them down. So that's the other reason why I resized it, because I didn't like it. As far as like, it was a lot of tedious trimming a 1/4 inch of a paper off to do that. But I do like the way that the styles went. So anyway, I did do a couple prototypes for this project. So I think that this one is actually, you know, really nice. It will hold the paper size. I built it for 5.5 by 8.5. So if you take, you know, a copy paper and cut it in half, then you will be able to have this. So if you have printables or you can resize things, you can do that. And then the ledger paper, I just kind of went with the size it was because it was huge. It was absolutely ginormous paper, but, and I cut it down. But anyway, so this is, I'm going to show you how to make the mechanism, how to make the pockets, how to put all of this together. And then I will talk about what I filled it with, and then you can go to town filling it with what you want to fill it with. So that's the kind of walkthrough of my project. So this is my Midnight Manor October daily / junk journal, and I really hope that you like it. So I will see you soon with the tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. So we're going to start with the cover for this album, and again, I'm using Midnight Manor for my October daily, and the cover is the lay flat method created by Tammy from Country Craft Creations, and I'll have a link to a video that I did to show you exactly how to do it. I'm not going to do it on camera, but I will give you the dimensions for this particular album. So for the cover, you will need chipboard, 2 that are 7 by 9 and 1 that is 2 by 9. So it'll have a 2-inch spine. And then you're going to need cardstock to cover. So the black cardstock to cover the chipboard, you'll need 2 at 9 by 11, 1 at 5 by 11, and 1 at 6 by 8 and 7/8, and that will cover the inside spine of your album. Now, I also did kind of triple mat this because I really wanted to kind of use the cover paper in continuity. So this is, the pattern paper is 6 inches wide. And then I used a piece that was left over for the inside spine. So I just kind of wanted, because it has these beautiful doors and windows and stairwells and stuff like that in this pattern paper, and I just loved it. So I just wanted to keep that as the cover. So I did use a mat of silver mirror. So I used 1 at 1 3/4 by 8 3/4, which is for the spine, and then 2 that are 6 3/4 by 8 3/4 for the cover. I dug through my stash. I have Antique Winter Gray. This is a Country Craft Creation. All of this is Country Craft Creations. 2 that are 6.5 by 8.5. I did not do all the triple matting and stuff on the spine. I just did the one with the silver mirror, and that was it. But for the covers, I did. So 2 at 6.5 by 8.5, and then burgundy, which is a color that I have in my stash that is available at Country Craft Creations, but it's not going to be available for much longer because it is going to be discontinued. So if you don't have any of this, you can definitely use another color. You can get My Colors papers from Country Craft Creations that would fit this. You could use a green. There's yellow in this, so you can do whatever you want, or you don't even have to do any of it if you don't want to, but I did use some burgundy to kind of pop out the burgundy in the flowers, and it's 6 1/4 by 8 1/4, and then the pattern paper itself is 6 by 8. So that's what I used for the outer covers. Now on the inner covers, I don't think I wrote this down. I just used pattern paper, and this piece measures, let's see, it's 2-inch wide spine, so it's 1 7/8 by 8 7/8, and I just put that for the inside. So we're going to finish the insides here with some pockets here in just a minute. So let's actually talk about the binding mechanism for this. I'm going to put the cover to the side. We're not going to need this for a little bit. And we're going to do the binding mechanism using discs, and I'm grabbing those from, they're by the Happy Planner, and I got them at my local craft store. You can use any kind of disc system that's out there. I know that Tool, I think it's called Tool, by Office Depot has discs. There's all kinds of different ones out there. You can get them online and stuff, but these measure a roughly a little over 1 1/4 wide, and they will hold quite a bit. So I'm going to use 5 of those. And then you're going to need, for the binding mechanism, you will need 2 pieces of cardstock. So one is 4.5 by 8.5, and one is 1 by 8.5. Let's take those, let's put that there, put these to the side for a sec, grab your scoreboard, put the 4.5 by 8.5 at the top, with the 4.5 at the top, score at 1 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, and 3 1/4. Okay. Then you're going to take the 1-inch piece by your 8 1/2, excuse me, and score at 1/2 all the way down. And then I have 2 pieces of pattern paper here, and I have inked them. I use my Vintage Photo Tim Holtz Distressing ink to ink them, and these are 3/8 inch wide, and they are 8 3/8 inch long. Okay, so you'll need 2 of those. All right, so we'll start. We can take this little piece and fold in half. Okay, and then we're going to take this piece and we're going to do some fancy things. So we're going to end up with a triangle piece that is how we're going to bind our discs in. So you're going to want to fold down the middle, and then you're going to want to fold out and then back in again. So the wider piece goes to the back and it folds in, and then we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to fold out. We're just basically making an accordion fold. I can't talk today. I'm having some issues. And I'm trying to make sure that everything is nice and lined up. Okay. I want it as straight and awesome as possible here. All right. So when you do that, you're going to have a piece that's going to look like this. And what you're going to do eventually is we're going to fold it so that both of the wide pieces are in the back, and it creates this kind of shape here with the triangle. Okay. Before we do that, we need to do some other things. We need to do some punching, and we need to glue this down. This is going to glue down the center, and actually I think I'm going to do it on the top. It'll work out much better because it's going to add a little bit more strength to the binding mechanism. And I'm just making sure, I want to make sure that this fits properly, because I don't want it too big, I don't want it too little, but it's going to fit right over that and just give this a little bit more strength. Okay, so dry fit it a little bit. Ooh, take your glue. And let's see here. Glue it like this. And just glue it right over the top. Where did my rag go? Okay. And you can keep the triangle shape. There we go. Just glue that right over the top there. Okay. Like so, because it's going to fold down and it's going to give more stability for your rings. Okay, so you should have a piece so far that looks like this. Okay, so we're going to fold this in half. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to punch some holes. Now, I'm only using 5 rings. I am using my We Are Memory Keepers disc punch. If you don't have one of these, you can use any kind of disc planner punch that you have. You can also cut or do like, let me grab a scrap piece of paper here, and you can, oops, I know I have a scrap piece of paper here somewhere. That will work. All right, so you can go in with like a hole punch, okay? And just make sure that your discs will fit in it. You punch the hole, and then you can take your scissors and cut a little slit, and you can do your own. Okay, so however you want to do this. This is going to be a little bit thick paper with this extra piece on there, but that will work just fine. So I just used my I just used my crocodile here with the biggest punch hole. Okay, so however you want to do it. But getting back to using this guy, I love this guy, and it punches through some nice thicknesses, and it has a measuring mushroom piece here that makes sure that your holes are exactly lined up the way you want it. So that's a serious plus. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ruler because I need to find the center point so that I can punch this, okay? So I'm going to put this down, and my center point will be at about 4 1/4 on each side of the 0 mark, and I'm just going to make a tick mark at the 0, okay? That's all you need to do. And then when you get, if you have this punch, then you'll notice there's a centering line right here in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the punch. Oops, got to unlock it first though. And then I'm going to line up my pencil mark to that center and make sure it's lined up. There's a lip here that it'll fall down on, and then you're just going to punch your hole, okay? Then you move it over, so that's center, 1 and 2, okay? Then turn it around, put your center in that mushroom, 1 and 2, and that gives you your holes, okay? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? And then your discs will just pop right in there. I did not decide to put pattern paper on this. I didn't think it was necessary, but I am going to put pattern paper on this edge here, okay? So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and glue that down. So I'm just gonna take my papers here, and I'm going to, the first thing I'm going to do is glue on these 1/2" tabs in the back. And then lay one side down. And it's going to lay right down and glue those 1/2" centers down, okay? So you can put it on your desk, you can lay it down, you can do that, and that will help get those down. So then you should have a nice triangle piece there. That's going to make this pretty sturdy, and these won't move too much, and it'll help keep your discs stable. And then I'm just going to put glue on the back of this, and then glue that other piece over the top. And then that's your binding system. Okay, so that is the binding mechanism. And then you're just going to take your little pieces here, and I'm going to put my strips of paper down. Right here, like we would do any binding system that we have, you know, with our gussets here. So if you don't move them around, because you get too crazy. There we go. Okay, there's 1. And there's 2. And then our binding mechanism is basically done. Okay, so we just have to put it in the book, but we're going to do that in just a minute. There are some decisions you're going to have to make about your binding. I did this one so that the binding was on the back page. Okay, I'll show you my example again real quick. So I decided to go with this style, although I did make this, or my tutorial one, a little bit bigger, but I decided to put the binding mechanism on the back cover, okay, not on the spine. That's just what I wanted to do. You can do whatever you want. Just make sure you measure your pages properly when you put them in your book. It shouldn't be too much of a problem with this book. For this one, this was another practice piece that I did that you've already seen, and I did put it on the spine. So you can do it, you know, either way you want to. Doesn't really matter. So Anyway, let's stick this off to the side for now. And then we're going to do our pockets. So if you are going to put them on the back cover like I'm going to do it, then we're going to make two different pockets. If you are going to do the spine on, or the binding on the spine, then you only need to make one style of pocket, which will be the first pocket. And I'm going to show you why in just a second. So for the pockets, you will need two pieces that are 7 7/8 by 12. And then you're going to obviously need your pattern papers to cover everything. And this is going to end up covering, I'm going to get the second one out of the way for just a second. This is going to end up covering the inside of your piece. All right, so I have these labeled front and back, but they're going to be scored. I'm going to do it a little bit differently, but I'm going to show you the differences. Okay, so the front I've already done. You're just going to score 1/2 inch on each side, and then you're going to turn it, and you're going to score at 8 7/8, and that's going to give you the pocket. Okay, so this pocket will fold up, and then you can either fold the tabs to the back or to the inside, and that's going to make your pocket for the front cover. For the back, we're going to start it the same way. Okay, so you're going to score at 1/2, 7 3/8. Okay, we're going to cut these out, but you're also going to, turn, score at 8 7/8, but then turn it back to the bottom and score at 2. And the reason being is when we get this all folded up, this is going to give us this space here for our binding mechanism. It's going to make sense in just a second. Okay, so the first one, the 7 7/8 by 12, you scored at 1/2 on each side, and then you turned it and scored at 8 7/8. Okay, so we're going to fold this up, and we cut the 1/2 inch off the sides. We kept the 1/2 inch tabs on the sides for the pocket, and we're just going to glue those down and create a pocket. All right, like so. All right, then the pattern paper to cover this. So I decided not to go all the way in the pocket because there's no tab down there, and I kind of wanted to use the paper and kind of keep it in continuity, which I pretty much did. So I cut the strip off the bottom, and then there's a strip off the top that I cut to make the pocket. So it's going to go in the pocket just a little bit. So I cut these 6 3/4 inch wide by 6 and by 2 7/8. Okay, so we're just going to glue those down while we're at it. Okay, and then this is just going to tuck in the pocket just a little bit, not too much. Okay, I'll line that up. Like so. I love this paper. It's spooky and beautiful all at the same time. It gives you that haunted house vibe, but in a kind of a beautiful gothic way. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just so pretty, just so pretty. Okay, so then we'll take this to our book, and then literally this will just go down here, and that's going to cover that front cover and create the pocket all at the same time, which is kind of nice. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. And I have these labeled front and back because I am going to put the binding on the back cover. And we're going to do these a little bit different. So there you go. All right, so we have this part here, so it kind of creates your pocket and your cover all at once, which is kind of fun. Make sure it's nice and stuck down. You see I did use seam binding closure for this one. But there you go. Okay, so there's that. Now let's look at the back cover because this is going to be a little bit different. So the back cover, again, we got it in here, 7 7/8 at the top. We're going to score at half. You'll score at half on the other side, which is 7 3/8. We're going to turn it. We're going to score at 8 7/8, and then turn it around so that the bottom is at the top. So you have this short 3-inch pocket size, and we're going to score at 2. Okay, and then I don't know if you can see, but I have made some markings here. We're going to cut that out. So first off, we're going to cut a miter for our pocket here, and then we're going to cut this score completely out. Okay, we're going to cut this score completely out. Let's see, what's the easiest way to do this? Actually, yeah, let's do it this way. Okay, so you can see this pencil mark here. So this score line here, that's going to create a tab for a shorter or less wide pocket. What I'm going to do is just freehand cut a tab here and then cut this whole piece out and then cut this piece out. It's going to be easier if I do it on this side. So I'm just going to freehand cut like a 1/2 inch tab to that score line, okay, like so. And I'm going to cut this piece out. And then I'm going to cut this piece completely out. Okay, so you'll end up with a piece that looks like this. All right, so then let's flip it over. We're going to fold that up. We're going to fold the tabs in. These are going to get glued up. You're going to have a pocket here. The mechanism is going to go here. Okay, this is where we're going to glue the mechanism down. So you'll still have a pocket. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to do this. Do this. Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm going to hold off on gluing the mechanism down for now. I did cut the pattern papers for this side as well. Okay, so just like that, trying to keep them kind of in continuity, which worked out pretty darn good, I think, with the pictures. I absolutely love these pictures. I just love them. They're so awesome. Okay, so glue those down. And they'll go in the pockets just a wee bit. And on this one, we're gonna have to be a little bit careful where we put our glue. I don't want to put it too close to the, or too far away. Probably should have drawn a line or something. There you go. And I can go back in here. Yeah, I did pretty good. I guessed it pretty good. All right. And then this, we put this off to the side and grab our cover, is going to go right here. So we'll go ahead and glue that down. Now on my practice model where I did this, I didn't put any pocket on the back because I liked the image that was on the back of that album so much. I didn't want to cover it up with the, you know, the pattern paper that I was using for that. So I just kind of kept it, but there we go. But then I was like, well, but if you make a pocket, you know, then you can just use the image. So I like this image. I just think that's pretty. And again, I kind of used it in continuity for this project. So that was kind of cool. All right, so there's that. And then eventually we'll go ahead and put our mechanism right here. And that's where it's gonna go, okay? So let's put this to the side for just a sec. And we're going to we're gonna make some pockets. So I've got a couple different pocket styles, and then we'll go from there. So pocket number 1, you'll need a piece that's 11 by 12. And yeah, that's it. You're gonna need a piece that's 11 by 12. And then I got the pieces already cut. We're gonna take our scoreboard here and we're gonna do some scoring. 11 at the top, 5.5, score at 5.5, turn, score at 8.5. Easy peasy. Then what you're gonna do is, while this is in the scoreboard, make a tick mark at 1.5 inches, okay? Then you can fold your paper, and at the fold, make a tick at 4, okay? So essentially, it'll be 4 inches from the edge here and 4 inches down. You're gonna make tick marks, and then you're gonna draw a line. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, sorry about that, thought I heard something. I'm gonna cut this out on that line, okay? So we measured 4 inches in and 4 inches down, and we're just gonna cut that off at the score line. And then we're gonna cut down and cut that completely out. So we're gonna cut that score completely out. All right. And then how this pocket is going to work is that we're going to fold the bottom ones up, and then we're going to fold this over like so. And these pockets are going to be glued. There's no tabs for these, because we're going to glue, but then we're also going to punch the holes for the discs here, okay? So what you're going to end up with is one side with a pocket here and a pocket here, and then you turn it over and you have a pocket here, okay? So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to erase my pencil marks, okay? And then basically what you have to do, though, you do have to remember to cover some stuff here real quick. So I have my papers covered, and they're going to go like this. And then I have my paper. You are going to have to cover back here before you glue this particular, piece down. Okay. So you will end up with your pocket here and here. And then over here, I have my pieces cut. We're going to do this and that. So I'm going to glue these down, and then I will be back and I will show you the finished thing. Okay, so I have the pattern paper glued down, and I didn't go all the way into the pockets, as you can see. And then I wanted to let you know that for this angle, so I cut this piece of paper at, every single time, always backwards, 5 3/8 wide by 6. So what I did was I cut it 5 3/8 by 6, and then I measured in from this corner on the pattern paper 4 inches in and 4 inches down, and cut the same angle. Dry fit it before you glue it down, just to make sure it's okay. So I covered the pockets and what's going to go under the pockets, and then before you glue anything else down, put some pattern paper back here, again 5 3/8 by 6, and then that way you have that pocket covered up. And then you're just going to glue the two edges together, okay? So I'm just going to put glue here and then down at the bottom, and fold it over and glue it down. Like so. Okay. you will also need to put some glue on the sides of your pockets here. And the reason why I'm doing this, even though there's going to be, you know, like the disc bound, or the discs are going to be here, but they're only going to be in a small section. So I just want to make sure that it's all closed and neat. Because I guess technically you don't have to, because the discs will be in the way and they'll close that all up, but you know. Okay. So I have that done, and then we're going to need to punch our holes. So again, I'm going to grab my ruler and I'm going to go measuring, and it's about 4 1/4 from the center. And I'm going to make a tick mark right there. And then I'm going to grab my disc punch again, and I'm going to line that up with the center on my disc punch, making sure everything's level. And whoops, punch my hole. Then I'm going to put it back in, line up my mushroom, punch my hole. And this is going to get thick, but I'm telling you, the punch will do it. So from the center, punch 2 on either side for your 5 discs. Boom, and done. Okay. I love this thing. Okay, pocket number 1 is done. Let's look at pocket number 2. Pocket number 2 needs an 8 1/2 by 12 inch piece of paper, and it's going to create a fun pocket. So it'll create a horizontal one and then a vertical one. So what we're going to do is take this, and these are simple pockets to make. You can add to them and make them, you know, as elaborate or as simple as you want. 8 1/2 at the top, score it 5 1/2, turn it with a 12 in the top, score it at 8 1/2. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to just, you know, make some tabs that'll close the bottoms. And I'm just going to eyeball these about 1/2 inch. It doesn't matter. They're going to go in the pockets, right? So I'm going to go like that. I'm going to cut that like that. So you'll have 2 tabs created from that. And then what you're going to do is one goes one way, one goes the other. Doesn't really matter which way you want to do it. So one will go to the back, one will go to the front. Okay. So that one can go to the back. We'll do this one to the front. Like so. And I love Artisan because if you score it on the opposite way of the fold, it's still gonna work. I love it. So let's glue down our tabs here. So that's for the bottom pocket. Okay, we'll turn it over and we're gonna glue this here. Oh, you know what? I almost forgot. No, did I? Hold on. Time out. Okay, sorry about that. Strike that, reverse it. I had a little bit of a silly little brain fart, but I'm going to go ahead and just put a little line of glue here at the top, and then we have our tab here, and that'll close off that pocket. Oh, I didn't want to do that either. Good gravy. Don't do that yet. Glue the bottom one. Don't glue the top one. Good gravy, Michelle. Good gravy, Michelle. Ay, ay, ay. And I'm missing a piece of paper. I'll have to cut a different piece of paper. Oh, good grief. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So this one here is going to go in like this and like that. And then we're going to turn this over, and that's going to go like that. So I don't know where my other piece of paper went. That is so weird. I will have to cut another piece. That is strange. Okay, because I was gonna put a piece of paper And if you see like right like that, put a piece of paper like that and then glue the top down, okay? But I will have to cut another piece for that. So I'm just gonna glue these down. I will do that. I will be back. And then we'll punch holes. All right, so I have my pocket completed. So I put the pattern paper on. I did glue this edge down, and then over here, I did put the pattern paper here that I already had, and then I added the piece here, and then I glued the top down. So this is the cut edge, this is the folded edge. I'm gonna put my disc punch holes in here, and again, lining it up. Trying to make sure I got it right in the middle. Make my pencil mark. And I made it a little high, but there you go. That's about the middle. And 2, 3, turn it. Put that in the mushroom, so that's the middle. That will be hole 4, and that'll be hole 5. So I've got my second pocket ready to go. Last pocket style that I'm going to do, and you can do as many of these pockets as you want. You can do as few of the pockets as you want. It doesn't matter. 10 by 12. Okay, so this is pocket number 3, 10 by 12, and it's pretty similar to the previous pocket, but we're going to do it a little bit different as far as cutting. So you have the 10 at the top, 12 down here, score at 5.5. Turn, score at 8.5. Okay, same thing. Take this out. What we're going to do is we're going to do the eyeball and cut the tabs, but we're also going to cut the corners. So we're going to cut the corner. We're going to measure in at 3 inches and then at 2.5. Okay, so it won't give a square 45 angle. It'll just give a little bit. So 3 inches from the corner on the top, 2.5 inches down here. We're going to draw tick lines, and we're going to cut that off like so. And then we're going to eyeball our tabs. You can see I didn't draw that very well at all, did I? That is all squirrely. All right, we're going to cut to the corner, and then we're going to cut this off. Oops, but it doesn't matter because it's a tab, right? It's going to be glued down anyway. All right, so then the way this pocket's going to fold, it's going to fold to the front on this one. Okay, and then we'll fold this little tab up, and that's going to seal the bottom. And because, let's see, get that straight. I want to get that straight. Okay, and then this one here at the bottom will fold up. Okay, and in, and then that will glue there. Okay, so that'll be the back. To cut the paper for this, every single time, guys, should be a drinking game, right? All right, 4 3/8. Well, we'd never get any crafting done because I do it every single time. Oh my God. 8 by 3/8. Okay, so you're going to measure in again at 3 inches from the edge, make a tick mark, measure 2.5 down on this, make a tick mark, cut that off, and that should be the perfect little piece to mat your pocket. Okay, so we shall, and then it won't be glued at the top, it'll just be open at the top. Okay, so we'll glue that down first, and then put our pattern paper here, and then I've got some pattern paper here, and then we're going to turn this over, and I've got my pattern paper for this pocket. All right, so I'll finish that. I'll be back. Pocket number 3 is done. So we have this nice big pocket here with the open top, and then we have our back pocket like this. So again, we just need to, you know, do our tick marks and punch our holes, or our mushrooms, I should say, because they're not really holes. So I made my tick mark, punch, punch, punch. This one, it's just a heavy duty punch too, so it's going through all these layers just no problem whatsoever. All right, so there we go. I got that. I probably should remember to take the pencil marks off as well. Okay, so we have our pockets. You can put them in any order you want. Doesn't really matter. And we have our book. So let's do some assembling here. So get some of this out of the way. We're done with our punches. We need our mechanism, pockets, and we need our discs. Okay, so get our mechanism. This is going to glue right in the center of this strip that's back here on the back cover. Okay, so this is not on the spine. You can put it on the spine if you want. Totally can. If you choose to do that, if you choose to put it on the spine, then just make 2 of this type of pocket for this back page. I am going to put it here just because I want to. It's still going to accommodate 5.5 by 8.5 inch papers. So, you know, it's going to be great. So I'm going to take and put glue on this mechanism back. Okay. And then I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to turn it so I can see it. And it's going to go right in the middle, about a 1/4 inch up. And that looks pretty darn good to me. Okay. And I'm going to try and burnish this down. There's some thicknesses there, which will help with the stability. And I want to make sure it's nice and stuck. Okay. All right. So there's our mechanism. I'm going to let that dry for a minute before I get too crazy. But while I let it dry, I thought I would show you a few things that I created to put in here, because this is going to be an October daily, so it's kind of like a junk journal slash you know, December daily all at the same time. So I wanted to make the pockets because, you know, there's going to be stuff I'm going to want to, you know, save. You can totally punch holes in things and add them to the rings. There's going to be plenty of room. But then I kind of went through my stash. I have some dies that I had found on Amazon. So I got this die, and I used the pattern papers on the pockets. And so I just created a nice little piece. Has one of the cut aparts from the paper collection, The Dead of Night, and then I left it blank because I want to be able to put a picture on here and add to it. But then you also have these really cool slot pockets that, you know, that go all the way down, so you could put, you know, all kinds of things, tuck them in there, and that will look really, really cool. So I have that. I took from my stash of stuff that I had left over from a project that I did, got these graphic 45 tags from Country Craft Creations. I punched, these only would take 4 holes, so I can alternate them, like one can go up and then the next one can go down, so they can be different sizes. I added some seam binding that I had in the design team package, and then on the back of them I fussy cut out this little skeleton hand so you could put a picture back there. On this one here, I did this little saying that says shivers dancing up my spine. And on this one here, I did a fussy cut out one of the little butterflies. So it was a little pop of a really beautiful color there. I did go through my stash of ledger paper because, you know, I do some junk journaling. And then I also had some gray parchment paper that I'm going to put in here for journaling on. I also had found in my stash, I don't even know where I got this, but I've had this forever, and it's a little black file folder, and I'm going to stuff that in one of the pockets, I think. And that's going to be just a cute little thing to add journaling, add photos, just a nice little touch. from the paper collection, there's in the pack of the 8 or the 12 by 12, there's 2 pages of tags. So I just cut them out, inked the edges. I added some of the Tim Holtz mummy cloth to them because it's a nice kind of spooky little thing, and I am going to stuff those in pockets. I also had this in my stash of junk journal stuff, so it's just an envelope, no big deal, right? But it's pretty and it's gothic looking. Put the be scared, very, very scared on the top. And then I did add a little strip of cardstock here, glued it down, and then punched my holes so that it would give it a little more stability, because this is a very flimsy bag. And then in here I have a bigger one of those file folders that I found in my stash, and I used some antique gray on here, and I just think that will be a lovely little place to put things. Extra cardstock, I just added some of the cut aparts on here so you could put pictures underneath. There'll be a nice little pop. I added or did these so that you could put the picture in from the side, so rest in peace here. In my stash I also had some little paper bags that I used some of the extra cardstock. I made tags, I put a little piece of ephemera, and I you know, put the seam binding through the top, and that's gonna just kind of live in the if I can get it back in there, in the paper bag. And then in order to, let's see, I glued the bottoms up, added a little scrap of paper, and then I added a little one of the cut aparts in there, so there's another place. The back I left plain, and then I did use a little piece of cardstock, and I did double it, so I folded it over and then I punched holes, and I glued it just on one side so you could add it to the rings, and then it still will have, you know, the ability to stuff stuff in there. So I made 2 of those. So super cute, right? I love how this turned out. This is like exactly what I was looking for an October daily. So I had black envelopes in my stash. I added the pattern paper because I wanted to cover up the glue. But I also, I don't know if you can see this, I have a Tim Holtz decal paper trimmer, so I just deckled the edge of that and then inked it, and then I used one of the banner cut aparts to put on there. So that's a nice little piece. So I did 2 of those, just use the scraps. And then this last big piece, I made a giant tag, used some of the mummy cloth in here, and then on the back I had fussy cut this little thing out, and I added that so that you could tuck a picture underneath there. So that's what I'm going to stuff in here. That's a lot of stuff, so it's going to be really full and really cool, especially with all the pockets that I have. But now, since this should be pretty dry and ready to go, and then you just take your rings and then just gently kind of slide them in there, and voila, you have your binding mechanism. And this is one of the reasons why I doubled it. I wanted to make sure it was nice and sturdy. I wanted to make sure that the rings stood up nicely. Okay, there we go. So I have my 5 rings, and then in order to just add your pages, you just pop them on. So let me just grab the pockets here. I'll put those in, and then I'll put the other stuff in later, and then I'll do a walkthrough that you have already seen. And finish decorating and stuff, but then you just pop them in. The bottom ones will be, the bottom parts of the pockets will be a little bit on the difficult side just because they're thick, but then they get easier as the pages get thinner. But you don't want too thin of pages because then they won't stay in very well. So you have to have some sort of, you know, nice paper, tissue paper and stuff like that. The paper bag, like I said, wouldn't work, so that's why I reinforced it on the inside. Okay, so there you go. There's your book. And then you can see that it will accommodate, these are 5.5 by 8.5. It will accommodate that perfectly. And then when you close it up, it's going to look like that on the inside and just be beautiful. So that is the tutorial for my October daily using Midnight Manor, which is a gorgeous, spooky, but awesomely beautiful paper collection from Country Craft Creations. So I highly recommend you go get this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I love that it has a lot of the traditional colors with the black and the orange and the gray, but it also has the pops of pink. It just is a stunning collection. You guys really need to have this in your stash. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again soon with another tutorial. Bye-bye.